In the quiet town of Maplewood, a haunting mystery has loomed for over 2 decades. The disappearance of 12-year-old Sarah Mitchell left a gaping hole in the lives of her family, one that has never fully healed. On a summer day in 2001, Sarah vanished without a trace while riding her bicycle down Maple Street. The search was extensive, a community coming together in the hopes of finding her safe. Flyers adorned with her smiling face blanketed the town. Yet as the months turned into years, the once hopeful cries turned into whispers of despair. For Sarah's mother, Lisa, each passing year was a reminder of a love unfulfilled, a heart forever yearning for closure. Then, in an unexpected twist of fate, a seemingly innocuous post on social media ignited a flame of hope once more. Lisa, now grappling with the weight of her daughter's absence, decided to share a treasured childhood photo of Sarah, one of the last memories she had of her little girl. It was a simple snapshot, capturing the innocence of youth with a bright smile and wild curls. But what happened next would shock not only Lisa but the entire family. An advanced AI tool designed to analyze and identify faces in images uncovered something remarkable hidden within the shadows of that cherished memory, a clue that could change everything. As Lisa stared at the notification on her phone, her heart raced. The AI had detected a familiar face lurking in the background, someone they had never considered before. This was the first real lead in a case that had remained cold for far too long. With renewed determination, Lisa felt a surge of courage. She would not let this lead slip through her fingers. However, the path ahead was fraught with challenges. Lisa approached the authorities, but they were hesitant to reopen a case that had long since faded from their priorities. "Why are you doing this now?" they questioned, their tone laced with skepticism. Yet Lisa was undeterred. This was her daughter, and she would stop at nothing to uncover the truth. The search for Sarah had not only taken a toll on Lisa's heart, but had also strained her relationships with family and friends, many of whom had tried to convince her to move on. They believed the past should remain buried, a painful chapter that had closed. But Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that the key to finding Sarah was buried somewhere within the layers of their shared history, and this new clue was a glimmer of hope. As she began to dig deeper into the origins of the photo, Lisa found herself retracing steps she thought she had long left behind. She spoke to neighbors who had once been a part of their lives, each conversation stirring up memories that had lain dormant. But with each new lead, the investigation began to unveil a darker, more complex narrative than she had ever anticipated. The face in the background was not just a face. It was connected to a web of secrets that intertwined with Sarah's life. Could it be that Sarah's disappearance was not a random act, but rather a premeditated plan, an abduction disguised in the fabric of their everyday lives? As Lisa sought the truth, she uncovered a network of hidden relationships and tangled emotions that had been concealed beneath the surface of their seemingly normal existence. Each revelation was met with resistance, and Lisa faced mounting pressure. Friends who had once supported her began to question her motives, urging her to let go of the past. "What if you're wrong?" they asked. "What if this leads to more heartache?" Yet, Lisa felt an undeniable pull, a sense of duty to her daughter that transcended the fear of what she might find. In the days and weeks that followed, Lisa became a woman on a mission. She pored over old police reports, reached out to private investigators, and even sought the insights of experts in the field of digital forensics. The clues began to accumulate, leading her down a rabbit hole of information that spanned years and crossed state lines. The more she uncovered, the more Lisa realized that Sarah's story was not just a tragic disappearance, but a tapestry woven with complex motives and hidden agendas. As Lisa connected the dots, she found herself standing on the precipice of a truth that could either shatter her world or finally bring her the closure she had so desperately craved. The closer she got to the heart of the mystery, the more dangerous the journey became. Amidst the twists and turns, Lisa's determination never wavered. She was driven by the love of a mother who refused to give up on her child. And as the shadows of the past began to unravel, the realization hit her. Finding Sarah would mean confronting not only the truth behind her disappearance, but also the darkness lurking within her own family. In this gripping tale of loss, resilience, and the unyielding quest for truth, join us as we follow Lisa Mitchell on her journey to uncover the secrets that have remained buried for far too long. With every step, she grows closer to uncovering a reality that could change everything. A reality that begs the question, how well do we truly know the people we love? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this chilling mystery in the next episode of our series, where new discoveries will take us further into the shadows surrounding Sarah's disappearance. Lisa's pursuit of the truth had ignited a fire within her, a determination that propelled her forward despite the growing shadows of doubt. As she sat at her cluttered kitchen table, surrounded by old photographs and fading memories, the flickering screen of her laptop illuminated her face. The image of Sarah, a vibrant child with a bright smile, seemed to taunt her from the monitor. It was a reminder of the life that had been stolen from her family. Months had passed since that fateful day when Lisa stumbled upon the childhood photo, and with it, a slew of online discussions that hinted at connections she had never considered. The AI-driven analysis of the photo had revealed a series of digital footprints, suggesting Sarah's presence in places they had never anticipated. Lisa was particularly drawn to a location near an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place once notorious for illegal activities. With each passing day, Lisa gathered her courage to investigate further. Armed with her phone and an unwavering sense of purpose, she drove to the warehouse, each turn of the key in the ignition echoing the heartbeat of her urgency. The facility loomed before her, an eerie reminder of the secrets that lay hidden within its crumbling walls. As she stepped out of her car, the wind rustled through the weeds that had overgrown the perimeter. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine, not only from the cold air, but from the realization that she was treading on dangerous ground. She could sense the weight of the past pressing down on her, urging her to turn back. Yet, she pressed on, fueled by the hope that she might uncover something, anything, that would lead her to Sarah. Inside, the warehouse was dark, the air thick with dust and the scent of decay. Lisa switched on her flashlight, its beam cutting through the shadows, revealing remnants of a world that had long since forgotten its purpose. As she moved deeper into the labyrinth of rusted machinery and crumbling crates, she spotted something that made her heart race. A flicker of color caught her eye, an old jacket, one that looked eerily familiar. Lisa approached the jacket, her hands trembling as she reached out. It was unmistakably Sarah's. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. How did it end up here? Fear and adrenaline coursed through her veins as she quickly scanned the area for any signs of life. The silence felt suffocating, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. In a moment of desperation, Lisa pulled out her phone, documenting the discovery as evidence. But as she turned to leave, a sound echoed through the empty warehouse. Footsteps. Her heart raced as she pressed her back against the wall, holding her breath. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, and Lisa's pulse quickened. It was a man, his face partially obscured by a hood. She felt an instinctual urge to flee, but something compelled her to stay. Perhaps he held the answers she sought. "Who are you?" Lisa demanded, her voice steady despite the fear that clawed at her throat. The man paused, the tension thick in the air. "You shouldn't be here," he replied, his voice low and gravelly. "This place isn't what it seems." In that fleeting moment, Lisa realized she had crossed a threshold. The answers she had been seeking were closer than ever, but so were the dangers that lurked in the shadows. The truth behind Sarah's disappearance was no longer just a memory to be uncovered. It was a dark and intricate web that threatened to ensnare her. As the man stepped closer, Lisa felt the weight of the moment bearing down on her. The confrontation was inevitable, but so was the revelation that the darkness surrounding her daughter's disappearance was deeper than she had ever imagined. In the next chapter of this harrowing journey, Lisa would either find the answers she desperately sought or fall victim to the very secrets she aimed to expose. Lisa's heart raced as she assessed the man before her. The tension was palpable, and every instinct in her body screamed for caution. "What do you mean this place isn't what it seems?" she pressed, hoping to pry loose any information that might lead her to Sarah. The man shifted, his hooded figure casting an eerie shadow. "There are things you don't understand, things that happened long before your daughter disappeared." Lisa's mind raced with possibilities. What could he know that she did not? "You know something about Sarah," she stated, her voice unwavering. "You have to tell me." He hesitated, glancing over his shoulder as though he feared being watched. "I can't just talk here. Too many eyes. You need to trust me." Trust. It was a fragile thing, especially now, yet she sensed that he held a key to the truth, perhaps the only key. "Where do I find you?" she asked, her determination overpowering her fear. "Meet me at the old pier." "Midnight," he whispered, before retreating into the shadows, leaving Lisa with more questions than answers. As she returned to her car, a sense of foreboding washed over her. What kind of information could this stranger possess? And what dangers awaited her at the pier? Back home, sleep eluded Lisa. The weight of the night's events haunted her thoughts. She pored over the evidence she had gathered, old photos, police reports, and the ever-present feeling of loss. Each detail twisted in her mind, gnawing at her resolve. Morning broke, but the dark cloud lingered. Lisa knew she couldn't approach the police. Their skepticism had stifled her efforts before. Instead, she reached out to a few trusted friends, those who had supported her relentless quest for answers. They rallied, offering to accompany her to the pier, but Lisa felt an urge to confront whatever awaited her alone. It was a risk she was willing to take. As the sun set, casting a deep orange glow over the horizon, Lisa steeled herself for the confrontation. When she arrived at the pier, the air was thick with anticipation, and the creaking wood beneath her feet echoed her racing heartbeat. Minutes felt like hours as she waited, scanning the shadows for any sign of the man. Then, just as doubt began to creep in, she saw him, the hooded figure emerging from the darkness. But the moment was shattered as she heard a rustling nearby. Lisa turned, her instincts flaring. Was someone else here? "Lisa!" the man called out, urgency lacing his tone. "You need to—" Before he could finish, a sharp sound pierced the night. A gunshot reverberated through the air, followed by a thud as the man fell to the ground. Lisa's heart dropped as chaos ensued. She barely had time to comprehend the situation when a figure emerged from the shadows, a familiar face that sent chills down her spine. "Did you really think you could just uncover the truth?" the figure sneered, a cruel smile playing on their lips. Suddenly, the pieces of the puzzle began to shift. The confrontation she had anticipated now held darker implications than she ever imagined. The truth was no longer just a simple answer. It was tangled in a web of betrayal, lies, and a threat to her very life. Lisa stood frozen, torn between the need to flee and the desperate urge to uncover the truth she had risked everything to find. Lisa's mind raced as she processed the scene unfolding before her. The figure, once a trusted ally, now stood as an embodiment of her worst fears. The darkness around her seemed to close in, amplifying the gravity of the situation. "Why?" she managed to whisper, her voice barely cutting through the tension. Why would you do this? The figure's smile twisted into something sinister. You were never meant to find out. Some secrets are better left buried. Lisa felt the weight of his words settle like a stone in her stomach. She was no longer just searching for answers. She was now entangled in a life-and-death struggle against someone she thought she could trust. Every step she had taken to uncover the truth now felt like a step closer to danger. In that moment, Lisa's resolve hardened. She had come too far to turn back now. As she turned her gaze from the fallen man to the figure before her, she knew she had to regain control of the situation. "I won't let you intimidate me. I'll find out what really happened." With that declaration, Lisa instinctively reached for her phone, desperate to document the confrontation, to gather evidence that could expose the lies woven around her family. But just as her fingers brushed the screen, the figure lunged forward, shattering her fleeting hope. "Put that down!" he barked, his voice laced with venom. In the struggle, Lisa felt the adrenaline surge through her veins. She ducked to the side, narrowly escaping his grasp. The confrontation was escalating, and every instinct told her to run, but she stood her ground. She needed to confront the truth head-on. "Why did you make me believe he was gone? What did you do?" she demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. For a moment the figure faltered, his facade cracking under the weight of her questions. "You don't understand the danger you're in, Lisa. There are things you're not ready to know." But the shadows of doubt only deepened her determination. Lisa was aware that the clock was ticking. The truth lay tantalizingly close, just beyond the reach of her understanding. She needed to find out what he was hiding and who else was involved in this twisted tale. As she regained her footing, Lisa's mind raced back to the childhood photo that had triggered this entire ordeal. It was more than just a nostalgic memento. It had unearthed a reality she had been shielded from for too long. What other secrets were hidden within those faded memories? In the corner of her eye, she spotted a glimmer of something on the ground, the fallen man's phone. Before she could think twice, she lunged for it, grabbing it tightly. This device could hold the key to unraveling the truth that had eluded her for so long. "Let go of that!" the figure shouted, his voice now tinged with panic. But Lisa was already on the move, heart pounding as she sprinted toward the trees, the urgency of her situation spurring her on. She could hear his footsteps behind her, but the thrill of discovery fueled her escape. With each stride, she felt the weight of her family's unresolved pain and the urgent need to put the pieces together. She had to analyze the phone to find out what secrets it held. It was a race against time, and the specter of betrayal loomed larger than ever. The confrontation had only scratched the surface of a much deeper conspiracy. As she reached the safety of the tree line, Lisa knew that the truth was waiting for her, buried beneath layers of deception. The real danger was just beginning, and she had no choice but to dive deeper into the darkness that surrounded her family's past. Once in the safety of the trees, Lisa pressed her back against the rough bark, her breath coming in quick bursts. The phone trembled in her hand, a lifeline to the truth she had chased for years. With trembling fingers, she powered it on, the screen lighting up with a familiar glow. As the device booted up, Lisa felt a mix of hope and trepidation wash over her. Memories flooded back, her childhood with her sister, laughter echoing through the halls, and the heavy silence that followed her disappearance. The phone unlocked surprisingly easily, revealing a series of messages that hinted at a life kept hidden from her. Lisa's heart raced as she began scrolling through the conversations. Most were mundane, typical exchanges, but a few stood out, messages laced with urgency and coded language. They mentioned a meeting, a location, and a name she recognized, someone who had been in her sister's life, someone her family had trusted. She could feel the weight of betrayal settling heavily on her shoulders. Who was this person really? And how had they played a role in her sister's vanishing? The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows as Lisa pieced together fragments of the puzzle. But she knew she couldn't do this alone. She needed to confront the individual behind those messages, yet the thought filled her with dread. What if they were involved in something sinister? As night began to fall, she drove to the last known address associated with the phone's owner. The streets were eerily quiet, the kind of stillness that filled the air with tension. Her heart raced as she parked down the block, the glow of the streetlights illuminating the path ahead. She approached the house cautiously, the light from the window revealing a figure moving inside. It was time to face the truth, to confront the person who might hold the key to her sister's fate. Just as she reached the front door, a noise startled her, a crunch of gravel underfoot. Lisa turned, her breath catching in her throat. A car rolled slowly past, headlights sweeping over her, illuminating her face for just a moment. That moment felt like an eternity. Was it just a passerby, or had she been followed? Fear gripped her, but she couldn't turn back now. Her sister's voice echoed in her mind, urging her onward. Taking a deep breath, she knocked on the door. The sound was hollow, reverberating in the stillness of the night. As she waited, every second felt like a lifetime. Would she find answers? Or would this encounter lead her down a darker path than she had anticipated? The door creaked open slowly, and Lisa was met with a face she hadn't seen in years, a face that held both familiarity and a chilling sense of foreboding. The air thickened with unspoken truths, and Lisa felt the weight of all her fears settling around her. This was the moment she had prepared for, but nothing could prepare her for the confrontation that lay ahead. What secrets would unfold, and how deep did the conspiracy run? The answers were within her grasp, but they came at a price she was yet to understand. Lisa's heart raced as she stepped inside, the door closing behind her with a soft thud that echoed in the dimly lit room. She could feel the tension mounting, the air thick with unspoken words and unresolved pain. The person before her, her sister's former best friend, had been a vital link in the past. Now they stood at a crossroads that could redefine everything Lisa thought she knew. "Why did you come here, Lisa?" the woman asked, her voice a mixture of caution and curiosity. "After all these years, it's dangerous to dig into the past." Lisa took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I found something, a clue that points to what happened to Sarah. I need to know the truth." The woman's expression shifted, a flicker of recognition crossing her face. For a moment the mask slipped, revealing fear beneath. "You should leave it alone. Some things are better left buried." But Lisa pressed on, drawing out the evidence she had gathered. Photos, messages, a timeline of events that led to that fateful day. "This isn't just about me. It's about Sarah. She deserves justice." The woman's eyes darted to the side, as if weighing her options. Finally, she sighed deeply, the weight of years pressing down on her. "What if I told you that Sarah wasn't who you thought she was? There were things happening in her life that you don't know about, things that could change everything." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" The woman hesitated, then whispered. "She was involved in something dangerous. There were people she was meeting, secrets she was keeping. I warned her to stay away, but she was drawn in. I didn't know the depth of it until it was too late." Lisa's mind raced. "You're saying she was in trouble, but why didn't you tell me? Why didn't anyone say anything?" "Because it was bigger than us," the woman replied, her voice trembling. "There were forces at play that we couldn't comprehend. I thought she'd get out before it was too late, but it wasn't just her life at stake. It was mine too. I didn't want to put you in danger." As Lisa processed this revelation, a flood of emotions surged within her, anger, confusion, and a glimmer of hope. If she was in danger, then maybe someone knows something. If there's a connection to a bigger picture, then we can find her. "Be careful, Lisa," the woman warned. The deeper you dig, the more you may uncover things you wish you hadn't. Just then, Lisa's phone buzzed in her pocket, interrupting the heavy air. She glanced at the screen and felt her heart drop. A new message from an unknown number read, "Stop looking into her past. You're not safe." The warning sent a jolt of fear through her, but it also ignited a fierce determination. Lisa turned back to the woman, her resolve solidifying. "I can't stop now. For Sarah, for me. I need to know what happened." As she left, the shadows of the night loomed larger, each step echoing the uncertainty ahead. Little did she know, the truth behind Sarah's disappearance wasn't just a mystery, it was a dangerous web of deception that would challenge everything Lisa thought she understood about her sister's life and the people around her. Could the connections run deeper than mere friendship? Could there be a hidden agenda that put Sarah in harm's way? The answers were close, but they would test Lisa in ways she never imagined possible. With each revelation, she felt the stakes rise higher, and the risk of uncovering a painful truth loomed over her like a dark cloud. Lisa spent the next few days consumed by the contents of her phone. The chilling message replayed in her mind, fueling both her fear and determination. She began to sift through Sarah's old social media accounts, searching for anything that might connect the dots. Each post, each comment, felt like a breadcrumb leading her deeper into the past. Among the photos, she stumbled upon a striking image of Sarah with a group of friends, their faces glowing with youthful joy. But one face stood out to Lisa, a man she didn't recognize, leaning closely to Sarah, a smile that seemed just a bit too wide. She zoomed in on the man's face, a knot forming in her stomach. There was something about his eyes, a glint that sent chills down her spine. With her heart racing, Lisa began to dig into this new lead. Using the details from Sarah's social media, she searched for the man. Hours turned into days as she navigated online databases, looking for any trace of him. At last, she found a name: Jacob Reed. His profile was minimal, but his connections seemed to intertwine with Sarah's in ways that were unsettling. As Lisa dug deeper, she discovered that Jacob had a past marred by violence, a series of altercations and troubling incidents that painted a different picture of the man who had once been so close to Sarah. Each revelation added another layer of darkness, confirming her worst fears. Sarah had been involved with someone who was not who he appeared to be. Determined to find Jacob, Lisa reached out to people who knew him. Most were reluctant to talk, scared of drawing attention to their own lives. But one former acquaintance, a woman named Mia, agreed to meet. In a dimly lit cafe, Mia's voice trembled as she recounted stories of Jacob's volatile temper and questionable associations. He had this magnetic charm, but there was always a sense of danger, she whispered. I warned Sarah to be careful, but she was drawn to him. Lisa's heart sank. What had Sarah gotten herself into? Mia's words painted a picture of a relationship shrouded in secrecy, fraught with hidden dangers. As the pieces of Sarah's past began to fit together, Lisa felt the weight of a looming confrontation. But the deeper she went, the more elusive Jacob seemed, as if he knew she was on his trail and was already one step ahead. With every bit of information, the urgency to find him intensified. It was clear that Lisa was closing in on something dark and twisted. The stakes were rising, and she could feel the shadow of danger lurking closer. The message warning her to stop searching echoed in her mind, a stark reminder that the truth might come at a cost. As she pieced together the fragments of Sarah's life, Lisa realized that uncovering the truth might not just shatter her understanding of her sister, it could put her own life in jeopardy. With the investigation tightening around Jacob, Lisa prepared herself for the inevitable confrontation that lay ahead, knowing full well that the truth was often more terrifying than fiction. With each passing day, Lisa delved deeper into Jacob's life, uncovering unsettling details that made her stomach churn. His online presence was sparse, yet the digital breadcrumbs led her to a series of connections that raised more questions than answers. It seemed that Jacob had a history, one that was intricately woven, with shadowy figures and unsettling incidents. Lisa reached out to friends of Sarah, those who had known Jacob during their tumultuous relationship. The stories they shared were laced with fear and confusion. One friend recalled a night when Jacob's temper flared, a moment that left everyone feeling uneasy. "He was never physically violent," she said, her voice trembling. "But you could see something dark beneath the surface." Each conversation left Lisa feeling more isolated, as if she was the only one who cared to seek the truth. Authorities had dismissed Sarah's case as a runaway incident, convinced that she had simply chosen to disappear. But Lisa knew better. She felt her sister's presence guiding her, compelling her to keep pushing forward. As she pieced together Jacob's whereabouts leading up to Sarah's disappearance, Lisa discovered a chilling pattern. Jacob had traveled out of state shortly after Sarah vanished, and several acquaintances mentioned that he had been unusually tight-lipped during that time. This confirmed Lisa's worst fears. There was a significant gap in the timeline, one that could harbor the key to unraveling everything. Driven by a mix of determination and dread, Lisa sought out a private investigator who specialized in cold cases. They met in a nondescript cafe, where Lisa laid out her findings. The investigator listened intently, nodding as she recounted Jacob's history. After a moment of silence, he leaned forward. "You're onto something, but I need to warn you. If Jacob is involved, he won't take kindly to your inquiries." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine, but she could not back down now. The investigator agreed to help her, and together they began to connect the dots. What they uncovered was more than just a man with a questionable past. It hinted at a much larger and more sinister web of deceit. Days turned into weeks, and Lisa's resolve only grew stronger. She knew she was close to something monumental, but the fear of what she might find made her heart race. Then, late one night, a tip came in. A photo posted anonymously on a social media site. The image showed a group of people, including Jacob, at a remote location. Lisa's heart raced as she examined the photo. In the background, a familiar figure lingered just out of focus. A woman, her hair unmistakably resembling Sarah's. This discovery was pivotal. It seemed that Jacob wasn't the only one hiding something. The shadows of Sarah's past were beginning to emerge. With this new lead, Lisa felt the weight of the investigation shift. She was no longer just chasing after Jacob. She was chasing after the truth. But with every revelation, the danger grew closer, and Lisa could feel the tension tightening around her. As she prepared to confront Jacob, a chilling realization settled in. The deeper she dug, the more she understood that the truth was layered with complexities that could threaten her very existence. The moment of confrontation loomed ahead, filled with uncertainty and peril. Yet Lisa remained steadfast, fueled by the hope of finding Sarah and the need to expose the darkness that had cast a long shadow over their lives. Lisa knew she had to approach Jacob carefully. The image had ignited a flicker of resolve within her, but it also magnified her fears. What if Jacob was more deeply entwined in Sarah's disappearance than she had ever imagined? Questions swirled in her mind as she contemplated the confrontation that awaited her. With each passing hour, her anxiety mounted. As she prepared for the meeting, Lisa meticulously gathered her thoughts, reminding herself of the stakes. This wasn't just about uncovering a family secret. It was about bringing closure to a painful chapter that had haunted her for far too long. The photo had shown Jacob, but it had also hinted at a hidden world, one where Sarah's life had intertwined with shadows and secrets. The next day, Lisa met Jacob at a cafe, a place they used to frequent as a family. The ambience was filled with laughter and chatter, but for Lisa the air felt heavy with unspoken tension. As Jacob arrived, she noticed a slight change in his demeanor. His confident stride faltered as he approached her table, his smile faltering when he recognized the seriousness etched on her face. "Lisa, it's good to see you," he said, but there was a nervous edge to his tone. "Jacob, we need to talk," she replied, her voice steady but firm. "I saw something that concerns Sarah." His expression shifted, the warmth in his eyes replaced by a flicker of apprehension. "What do you mean? What did you see?" Lisa took a deep breath, steeling herself. "A photo. It showed you at a gathering, and in the background there was a woman who looked like Sarah." Jacob's gaze dropped to the table, and a silence fell between them, thick with tension. "I don't know what you're talking about, Lisa." "Don't lie to me," she pressed, her heart pounding. "This is about her. I need to know what you know." He shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his hands fidgeting with a napkin. "That was a long time ago, Lisa. People change. Things happen." "Things happen?" she echoed incredulously. "You think this is just about forgetting? Sarah has been missing for years. I need the truth, Jacob. No more games." For a moment, Jacob's facade cracked, revealing a glimpse of the turmoil beneath. "I didn't want to bring up the past. It's complicated," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Complicated how?" Lisa pressed, leaning forward. "You've kept secrets, Jacob. What are you hiding?" He looked around, as if sensing unseen ears. "You don't understand. There are people involved who shouldn't be. If I talk, it could put us all in danger." Her heart sank. The shadows she had sensed were closing in, and now Jacob was alluding to something far more sinister than she had anticipated. "What do you mean, danger? What kind of people?" Jacob's eyes darted nervously, and Lisa could see he was wrestling with a decision. "There are things about Sarah's life that you don't know. Things she kept from us all." "Then tell me," she urged, her voice trembling with urgency. "What did she get involved in? What happened to her?" He hesitated, the conflict raging within him evident. "I can't just—" Before he could finish, a sudden crash echoed from the back of the cafe, drawing their attention. The moment shattered, and in that instant, Lisa's focus shifted. The confrontation had become more than just a conversation. It was now a race against time, and an unseen threat loomed closer. As the cafe staff rushed to manage the commotion, Lisa turned back to Jacob, her mind racing. "We need to get out of here," she urged. "This isn't over, and whatever is going on, it's not just about Sarah anymore." With a new layer of fear enveloping her, Lisa understood she was on the brink of uncovering a truth that had been buried under layers of deception. She couldn't predict what lay ahead. But she knew one thing. She was determined to follow this thread, no matter where it led. The shadows were growing darker, and she had to be ready for the revelations that awaited her. As Lisa and Jacob stepped out of the cafe, the cool air hit her like a wake-up call. The weight of the conversation lingered, and she could feel the urgency pulsating through her veins. Every instinct urged her to dig deeper, to pursue the truth that had eluded her for so long. They hurried to her car, the early evening light casting long shadows on the pavement. As she drove, Lisa replayed Jacob's words in her mind. Sarah had secrets, and those secrets were tied to a life that Lisa had never known. What had her sister been hiding? Who had she been involved with that led to this silence? With each mile, her heart raced, not from fear, but from determination. She knew she couldn't wait for the authorities to catch up. They had abandoned her family, letting the case grow cold. It was time for her to take matters into her own hands. As she navigated through the streets, she thought of the photo that had reignited her search, the one that had sparked everything. It was more than a picture. It was a key, and she needed to decipher its meaning. Arriving home, Lisa wasted no time. She spread the photo across the dining table, examining every detail. In the background, a familiar landmark caught her eye, a graffiti-covered wall that she recognized from her childhood. It had been a hangout for local teens, a place where they shared secrets and made memories. Could Sarah have been there recently? Lisa's hands trembled as she took out her phone and began to research. She searched for any recent activity or reports related to that location. Social media posts, news articles, anything that could provide a clue about her sister's life in the years leading up to her disappearance. Hours passed, and the room grew darker around her. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a post from just a few months before Sarah had vanished. A photo, taken at the very wall Lisa remembered, showed a group of friends laughing, but one figure caught her eye. A man stood slightly apart from the group, his face obscured by shadows. There was something unsettling about him, a feeling that tugged at her instincts. Lisa zoomed in, searching for anything that could identify him. The comment section filled with names, but one stood out: Max. The name resonated in her mind, and she recalled overhearing her sister mention a Max in passing conversations. Lisa leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. Who was this man? And what did he have to do with Sarah? Determined, she began searching for Max on social media. After several minutes of scrolling, she found his profile. The more she uncovered, the deeper her concern grew. His posts revealed a lifestyle that was reckless and dangerous: parties, drugs, and a series of questionable friends. It painted a troubling picture, one that raised more questions than answers. Suddenly, a notification pinged on her phone. A friend request from Max had just appeared. Lisa's heart raced. Was this coincidence, or was someone watching her? She hesitated, feeling the gravity of the moment. Accepting could open doors to answers, but it also could lead her deeper into a web of danger. With a resolve that surprised even herself, she clicked accept. Almost instantly, a message popped up on her screen. It read, "I know who you are. We need to talk." Lisa's breath caught in her throat. The shadows surrounding Sarah's disappearance were closing in around her, and with this new lead, the stakes had never been higher. She felt a chill creep down her spine, but she couldn't turn back now. If she was ever going to find her sister, she needed to confront whatever lay ahead, even if it meant stepping into darkness itself. Lisa's fingers trembled as she stared at the screen, the words echoing in her mind. "I know who you are. We need to talk." Her instincts screamed at her to be cautious, but the desperation to uncover the truth about Sarah propelled her forward. She took a deep breath and replied, "Who are you? What do you know about my sister?" The response came quickly. "Meet me tonight at the old diner on Maple Street. Come alone." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a haunting glow over the neighborhood, Lisa fought against the whirlwind of emotions threatening to engulf her. Memories of childhood laughter with Sarah flickered in her mind, juxtaposed with the painful reality of her sister's absence. The old diner, a place filled with echoes of simpler times, now felt like a trap waiting to close in on her. With each passing hour, the weight of the decision pressed down harder. Should she trust this unknown person? Could this be a lead, or was it a dangerous game? Yet the thought of another day passing without answers was unbearable. As the clock struck 9, she made her way to the diner, her heart racing with a mix of fear and determination. The familiar neon lights flickered to life, illuminating the empty parking lot. Lisa stepped inside, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of her contact. The place was nearly deserted, with only a few late-night patrons scattered in the booths. Then she saw him, a figure seated in the back corner, shrouded in shadows. He looked up as she approached, a slight nod acknowledging her presence. As she slid into the booth, the tension in the air thickened. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice low and steady. "I know about Sarah. I can help you find her." Lisa's heart raced. "How? What do you know?" He leaned closer, his eyes piercing into hers. "What you've found on social media is just the tip of the iceberg. There are things happening in this town that the police have buried, people involved in something much bigger than just a disappearance." Confusion washed over Lisa. "What do you mean? What could possibly be bigger?" He hesitated, glancing around the diner before continuing. "Max is in deep with a group that's connected to Sarah's case. They're not just partygoers. They're dangerous." Lisa's mind raced. Could Max have played a part in Sarah's disappearance? The idea felt like a punch to her gut. "What do I need to do?" she asked, determination flooding her voice. "You need to dig deeper. I have information that could lead you to the truth, but you have to be careful. They're watching. Trust no one." With that, he slid a small piece of paper across the table. "Meet me again tomorrow. I'll share everything I know, but you must be ready for what you might uncover." Lisa took the paper, her mind a whirlwind of questions and fears. As she left the diner, the weight of uncertainty settled heavily on her shoulders. She was walking into a world filled with shadows, where the lines of loyalty and betrayal blurred. The night felt darker than before, and as she drove home, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being followed. The stakes had escalated, and the path to the truth was fraught with peril. As she pulled into her driveway, she glanced into her rearview mirror, the unease tightening in her chest. The confrontation loomed closer, and with it, the dark secrets that had kept Sarah from returning home. What she would discover next could shatter everything she thought she knew about her sister, and about the people they once trusted. In the days that followed, Lisa found herself tangled in a web of deception and intrigue. With each piece of information she uncovered, the portrait of her sister's life grew more complex. The conversations she had with the enigmatic figure revealed a hidden world, one where Sarah had been entangled in a dangerous game, far beyond what anyone had imagined. Finally, the pieces fell into place. The meeting she had arranged was set for an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place that felt both familiar and terrifying. As she stepped inside, the air was thick with tension. She confronted those who had once been friends of her sister, but were now revealed as conspirators in a scheme that led to her disappearance. With her heart pounding, Lisa demanded answers. Why had they lied? What had they hidden? The truth spilled out like a torrent, betrayal, greed, and a cover-up that stretched beyond their small town. Sarah hadn't just vanished. She had uncovered something dangerous, something that put her life in jeopardy. Those who once smiled at family gatherings had orchestrated a conspiracy to silence her. As the authorities arrived, alerted by Lisa's persistence and new evidence, the culprits were confronted and led away in handcuffs. The relief and heartbreak washed over her as she realized that justice was finally within reach. It was a bittersweet victory. Sarah's fate was sealed in a tragic turn of events, but now the truth was out, the lies dismantled. In the days that followed, Lisa reflected on the journey she had taken. The pain of loss lingered, a wound that would never fully heal. Yet, through her relentless pursuit of the truth, she had honored her sister's memory. This case was not just about one family's tragedy. It was a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of our lives and the importance of seeking justice, no matter the cost. In the end, Lisa learned that loss often shapes us in profound ways, driving us to uncover hidden truths and to fight for those who can no longer fight for themselves. As the sun set on the horizon, casting a golden light over the town, she knew that while the past could never be changed, the pursuit of truth had brought her a sense of closure. For those left behind, the echoes of a loved one resonate deeply, reminding us all to cherish every moment and to stand fiercely against the shadows. What lengths would you go to uncover the truth?